Welcome back to Inside Oakland County. I'm John Scott, and joining me today is Dan Cojanu and Amos, and they're from the Canine Advocacy Program. You know, the program was developed to provide advocacy services to child victims, utilizing a highly trained dog to help alleviate the anxiety associated with being involved in the criminal justice system. Dan and Amos, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having us, John. Happy to be here today.
Good to have you here. Say, Dan, we met and we've talked about this program in the past, but I think it would be good if we started with a little bit of how we got started on the program. I know you started it, and could you just tell us some brief history about the program?
Well, back in 2008, I was a supervisor at the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. I ran the Victim Services program there. And I was getting ready to retire and really didn't have a plan for what I was going to do post-retirement. And one of my coworkers had brought up that they've been using dogs to help child victims through the court process. So I started looking into this, researching it, visited a program, and when I saw what these dogs were doing to help these kids, I was just completely blown away at what was happening. Mm-hmm. So I came back to Michigan. We had nothing. We did not have a program. And at the time there was maybe 8 in the country, and now there's well over 40.
Okay.
And I talked to all my judges' friends and defense attorneys, victim advocates, assistant prosecutors, and everybody said there's no reason we can't do this. So at that point I started looking for dogs and getting everything in order. In 2009, Leader Dogs for the Blind in Rochester called me and told me that they had a wonderful dog, the perfect dog for the program, which was Amos. And they were right. And ever since then, our program has just been growing and growing to now we have 12 dogs working around the state of Michigan directly with kids, child victims, neglect, abuse, and unfortunately a lot of sexual assault cases. So it is growing at a very rapid rate.
Sure. So now you mentioned the dogs come from Leader Dogs over in Rochester.
Yes.
Yes. I know they start off to go to be, for help the people with vision problems.
Correct.
So what does Amos just didn't make the cut all the way, or what did we do? What happens?
Well, some dogs don't make it. They, for whatever reason, they're not going to be a leader dog, and they're called career changed. And what they do is Leader Dog donates them to our program after they've been evaluated. These dogs have to have the right temperament, the ability to work with kids. They have to know their commands very, very well, because these dogs are in the courtroom sitting next to children who are testifying. So once they're evaluated at Leader Dogs, a prosecutor's office from around the state will get the call and we'll place the dog, and then I start the training. They're already so well trained by the puppy raisers and the folks at Leader Dog. I can't say enough about how these dogs are prepared. And then I do the courtroom training as far as what they need to do. And once we get them ready, they get their kerchief and off they go.
How do you get the people that are going to be working with the dogs? Are they referred to you from the prosecutor's office or the court, or what? Tell me a little bit about how the process works that you end up working with the children.
We've had tremendous support from the prosecutors from around the state. I speak at a number of their conferences, and then they contact me, and what I need is somebody who's willing to take the dog as its owner and be its handler. Most of the time these are victim advocates that are working in the prosecutor's office. I have a number of elected officials that actually have adopted the dog, bring the dog into work every day, and I train the advocates to be the handler.
Okay.
So that's how we work. I travel a lot around the state doing presentations to offices. I'm invited by a number of the judges from around the state to come in and look at it. From as far away as Escanaba was my furthest trip to.
Escanaba in the moonlight.
In the moonlight, yeah.
So, okay, so you have Amos, and yes. Amos then you're there along with the dog and the victim at this point in time?
Right. We try to get about 30 minutes with the child prior to their testimony. And at that point, when you introduce the dog to the child, all of a sudden they have a new focus because they know what they have to do. They've been told by a detective, the assistant prosecutor, everybody, you have to go into a courtroom, talk to a judge, answer questions. They are terrified when they get there because we expect small children to be involved in a criminal justice system that's designed for adults. They have to sit 20 feet away from somebody who may have sexually assaulted them,
Ooh.
just like an adult would have to do. But when you bring that down to little kids, that is absolutely terrifying. So when I show up with Amos, they have a new focus. And I think probably the best part of the program is when we introduce our dogs to the kids, we tell them that for as long as they're at court today, he's your dog. We've given that child power in a powerless situation. They have a dog. We'll take Amos for a walk. They can cuddle, they can draw pictures. And the staff at Oakland County are wonderful. They know that if I'm walking down a corridor and I have a child and we're all walking together, they always ask the child, can I pet your dog?
Oh, so they treat it as the child's dog.
Absolutely.
So they know what to do. Good.
Absolutely. Yeah, the staff at Oakland County are just great about that. And the child beams, you know, this is my dog, just like Mr. Dan told me.
There you go.
And once we get that anxiety down, these kids are able to walk into a courtroom, do what they need to do, knowing that Amos is going to be there waiting for them, or in some cases, be right there in the box with them. And yes, he's a little friendly.
He's getting around. So yeah, that was my next question. So the dog actually does go into the courtroom and actually into where they sit and testify.
Depending on the judge. Some judges allow it, some don't.
Okay.
But in certain cases, he'll be laying right there at their feet, so they have that support, or
like
just exactly like that. And if he's not permitted in the courtroom for whatever reason, we let that child know. We walk them right to the door with the dog, and we let them know that as soon as you open that door and you're done, the first face you're going to see is that beautiful, beautiful face. They have something to look forward to. They know what they have to do, and then we do a little debriefing afterwards, and we walk that child straight out to their car, start to finish.
And how's the program been working for? Is this been?
It's something I wish we could study, but you really can't, just because of the confidentiality issues and things like that. In Amos's case, every child that we've worked with who has refused to testify has. Every single one.
Oh.
Which is amazing.
It is.
And again, when they spend that time with him, their anxiety comes down, and they're able to go in there and do it. And stories from all across the state. I mean, I can call any prosecutor that has one of our dogs, and they will just start clipping off just what an amazing effect these dogs have had. And, no, it's working beautifully. I give Amos all the credit, but it's working very, very well. And these kids, they walk away with something positive out of what is just a terrifying experience.
Okay, that's really interesting. So the dog comes in, he sits in the courtroom. That's very good. Training-wise, what do you have to do to the dog, or with the dog, to get him to be going, as he's been repurposed or taken a career change, I guess, from being a leader dog to being an advocacy dog? What you have to work with the dog prior, I'm sure.
Well, they're so beautifully trained by leader dogs. I mean, they know all their commands backwards and forwards.
Okay.
The training that I do is pretty much having that dog able to lay down in a courtroom. I ask for 1 hour. And we do that in increments. We'll start with 20 minutes, add 10 minutes every day until we reach that hour. That is probably the best that we should be able to do, because everybody needs a break after an hour.
Right.
The dog's going to need a break, the child certainly. So we work with that. We work with distractions. When I train an advocate, I want them in a courtroom where there's a lot of noise, yelling, doors slamming, and that, so that dog learns about the distractions and will lay just like this for an extended period of time. A lot of the training is actually being able to walk around and being able to tell people whether they're permitted to touch the dog or not, that type of thing. So very little, actually. Again, they're so beautifully trained, there's very little to do, and they have the right temperament. They've been screened by leader dogs.
Okay, great. Now you mentioned that you started looking around in '08 and found this. Where did this all start? How did somebody come up with such an idea? I mean, to think of bringing a dog in and for a young child.
I don't know. They just kind of popped up on the radar, especially out on the west coast, and it just kind of blew up from there. I mean, there's dogs in South America that they're using in there too. So, again, the success rate is just incredible. And I guess one of the most important things is we make sure we do a little less harm in the system, and that is critical, because again, our system is not designed for these kids to be properly protected. And you know, if we can do a little less harm, something positive coming out of this horrifying experience, that's my goal.
That's great.
That's my goal.
And so we use them for the children now, but I also know, because Waterford, I was at Waterford, Judge DeBreck as the court for the veterans, returning veterans. This is I think it's the guys with PT, post-traumatic stress disorders, plus the drug court thing. Explain that to me, because this is a whole different group. Now we're going from the little guys and girls to the big people.
Right. We were the first program in the country to work with veterans in veterans treatment courts. We started off with a Doberman named Rylan, who is just the most beautiful animal you're ever going to see. And very much the same principle. These, these men and women who come back, they're involved in the court for whatever offense.
Right.
They're suffering from PTSD, but they're involved in a treatment court. The VA is right there with them in that, but they're waiting. You know, you wait 1, sometimes 2 hours before you get in front of the judge. That produces an incredible amount of anxiety, and these dogs sense it. And they're off lead, and they will go veteran to veteran, you know, kind of nuzzling their hand or whatever.
Oh.
It brings the anxiety down again. When they go up to give their report to the judge, these dogs will go up and just lean against their leg, just like attach themselves to the leg. My Dobermans were probably the most gentlest dogs I've ever seen. But they sense when somebody needs them, and they go, and they roam the courtroom.
Oh, they're not on a lead. They're just
Nope.
roaming around. Yes.
I use professional handlers. My volunteers are all professional dog handlers for agility and show and obedience type of thing.
Okay.
And the dogs are off lead. The judges allow it, and you'll watch the dog, you know, just kind of work the room,
right?
See who needs them, and that's where they go. And the veterans love it. You know, they have, again, a new focus while they're waiting, and that kind of support.
Right. So so Amos is for the kids.
Right.
And then now you have the Doberman.
We have
that's kind of
Dobermans,
weird.
we have Dalmatians, we have a Golden. What do we start? We just started another lab yesterday out in Redford. So all breeds, they just have to be beautifully trained, because again, they have the run of the courtroom. They go where they want. So it's been exciting to be the first in the country to do something like this.
That's really neat, because you had the program designed up and ready to go and all that. So Amos doesn't stay with you. I know he stays with another person, because you already had your 2 dogs.
Right.
So
it's getting a little crowded.
But how does it work with the other dogs? You got other people, other Dans around the state doing this now?
In all the other counties, they're all sponsored by a prosecuting attorney's office. So mostly victim advocates adopt the dog and bring them into work every day. And the dogs have their own offices, their own beds. And the nice part about that is, if they need a dog at any point during the day, if there's an interview that they need the dog for, maybe a child's having a difficult time on the stand or whatever, that dog is on site, ready to go right then and there.
Okay, now Amos isn't on site all the time in Oakland County.
No, he is upon request.
Yeah, they have to call you in.
And then it's great, because people hear about our program through media like this. We have a tremendous support from law enforcement. Detectives will call me saying, you know, I have a young child coming into such and such a court. The Oakland County bench has been very supportive. They will call me when they know a child's coming in. So my phone's on pretty much 18 hours a day. So I tell everybody I can be there in give me 24 hours notice.
Okay.
I've done it on shorter than that.
Okay, good, because you got to have the dog. Like you said, some counties, they stay right in the offices.
Right.
And unfortunately here in Oakland County, they're just not in the office all the time. But they do a great job, it sounds like. So
it's, like I said, it's been very successful, and it's expanding at an alarming rate. I think as of last month, we have 4 more prosecutors' offices on our waiting list for dogs.
Okay, so the Canine Advocacy Program is headquartered here in Oakland County for
Yes.
the state of Michigan?
Yes.
And you have offices evidently, or?
I'm it.
You're it.
I'm the
so-
only employee volunteer. But I
Okay.
run it all out of my home.
Okay.
And I get around and visit the dogs, make sure everything's going well
Sure.
as often as I can. It's hard because we have a big state.
So you are the only person actually brings the dogs into the program.
that's correct.
And so, wow, yeah, you would be a busy person.
Yes, the retirement thing didn't go so well.
You thought, oh, just kick back, and that's
Well,
not happening.
But it takes in a lot of things I enjoyed. I
know.
thoroughly enjoyed being a victim advocate when I was
Mhm.
there. I've been working with children for 37 years of my career at Oakland County. And I love working with dogs, and to be able to blend that into a program, it's very, very rewarding. And we hear from a lot of people afterwards about what the impact it's had on their
I'm
kids.
looking down at Amos. He's just, he looks like he's really comfortable right now.
This is Amos working. This is how Amos works.
This is
People
how he
say
works.
he's sleeping, but he's working.
He's keeping us calm.
Well, and it worked so well, we actually had to wake up a young man to go testify because he curled up on Amos and went to sleep.
Oh.
It's unheard of. I mean, the tension to go to court, and we had to wake him up. I mean, it's that kind of.
What age groups are we looking at?
The youngest we've worked with was 3.
Oh my God.
The oldest, probably around 17 or so. The really young ones, as anybody in the field will tell you, a child under 10 testifying in court is not great odds. It's very, very rare when they actually pull it off. And when we worked with 2 young girls, 3 and 4, and they actually made it through 2 court hearings and were able to get through their testimony. And that, to me, was nothing short of amazing.
Without the testimony, more than likely the bad guy would be back out on the street to do his bad things again.
Very happy to say this man will never see the light of day that these 2 kids saw.
Okay.
It was a very, very long case, took
Right.
years actually. But he will never see the light of day, so I'm very pleased with that. And
I would have liked the 17-year-old. You usually think that an older teenager is like, oh, I don't need no dog.
No.
But no, that was not the case,
no,
huh?
They, again, that new focus. I remember the first case we went on. It was a younger, probably 12, 13-year-old girl, and we met her at court, and I know she wasn't interacting with Amos. And her mother said, oh, well, she was mauled by a dog 3 years ago. So I'm like, oh, this is my first case, and he was so intuitive and spotted what was going on. He flipped over on his back and did one of these, just exposed his belly, and he's wiggling on the floor. She is laughing hysterically at this clown dog doing this, and she reached over and petted his belly, and he's just squirming and just having fun.
Amazing.
In minutes, she had overcome her fear of dogs. So we wound up working with her that afternoon. And then at a subsequent hearing, we're coming through the metal detectors, and we hear this, Amos, and we looked around, and it was her. And she was running down the length of the court to come and see.
Those hallways that we have at the county,
Yes.
right? They're long and, yeah.
Yeah, they echo. It was wonderful. I mean, she overcame her fear of dogs, and she just became attached to him. And he has that kind of effect on people. Because dogs, by their nature, are very intuitive. Amos sets that bar way up here. It's amazing the things that I have watched him do. Just sensing what people need when they need it, and he is there.
So now, who hires you? Are you hired? Is it like, okay, we got to hire this consultant to bring the dog in? And,
no, I'm a nonprofit. I'm a 501c3. I'm really the only employee. I started the program, I founded it, and I really take care of everything.
So you pretty much self-funded in a way, and then of
well,
course
not funded, unfortunately.
Not funded.
We take donations on our website.
When I said funded, I meant out of your pocket.
Out of my pocket, yes.
Okay, but you also will accept contributions, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. On our website, there's a donate
Right.
button, and if we're always looking, if we could find a foundation or a corporate sponsor, it would be great, because we want to keep this going. I think it's very important when we keep this running. So.
Well, you mentioned your website. I think you should probably give it out there for everybody to.
It's www.capmish.com. If you go to the Canine Advocacy Facebook page, we have something up there almost every day. Amos Canine has his own Facebook page also, so you can keep up with his antics. So yeah, we're all over social media, and just if anybody needs to contact me for any reason, my email address is up there, or phone calls. Would love to hear from you.
And I don't know if I asked this or not, but part of the thing, is it the prosecutor's office that contacts you, or the prosecutor that's doing the case when they feel they need a dog?
In Oakland County,
Yeah.
it's from the judges or law enforcement.
Okay.
Or somebody who's heard about our program. So.
And so they're trying to get the case going, and they figure
Right.
we could have a problem, and so everybody say, call Dan, and he'll come in and.
Guy with the dog. That's what I hear all the time on the phone. Are you the guy with the dog? And I say, yeah, that would be me. How can I help you?
And then once the dog shows up, you're just ignored.
Yeah. Then we're going to it, and we'll take the case start to finish.
Well, great. Anything else you'd like to share with us about your program?
I appreciate you having us on here. The one thing I hear a lot of is we didn't know you existed.
Right.
And I hope your viewers, frankly, never need us, because if you need us, something has really gone awry.
Right.
But if you know somebody who's in a situation, we're there. There's no cost to anybody for our services, and we're happy to do it. Amos loves to work. He loves working with kids, and happy to do it.
Dan and Amos, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And those of you watching, if you have any questions about this program or anything that we've shown on here, feel free to contact me at my email address, which is scottj@oakgov.com. And thanks a lot for watching Inside Oakland County, and get out there and enjoy what we have here in this beautiful county. Thanks, and have a great day.